track, getting hit multiple times. Coming out of that bike section, more drivers coming to blows.
AMS track draft is now. This is a random draw this week for the AMS track draft schedule. We have chosen
Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting. Welcome back to the American Muscle Series. You're joining us now for round 11 of season 9 of the American Muscle Series. This week, taking to the confines of Barber Motor Speedway. My name is Randall McGrew. I am joined by, I'm just going to cut it off right here. The man has accused me of being fake news, Andre Dirt Grandbouche. And in the production hauler, we have Joshua Wilkie on the buttons and knobs. And what gives, Andre?
I don't know, man. The driver said it himself. He misrepresented what he said, so got to call you out. You media guys, you're always just coming up with stories, making things up. Got to keep you honest.
It exciting. Got to keep it exciting. Well, here we are for the penultimate round. We haven't seen Barber on the schedule for a while. The Wheel of Destiny has preferred it to us for the last road race of the season. What do you expect to see here tonight, Andre?
Well, this is one of those tracks that I've always had a really tough time on every video game, every sim that I've ever come here. And, these guys, they're top of the class as far as talent, but in a field this big, the chaos seems to find a way to manifest. And I think we're going to see a lot of action. Probably a little bit of separation. This track does cause a little bit of separation, but good racing nonetheless. And either way, it's been a while since we last been here, so looking forward to it.
2 races to go, only one of them a road race. We got some points to get into. We're going to start over in the Pro Division, where we will find that after last week's race, we have a new leader in the Pro Division. Kevin Parrish back in the lead with 378 points. Luis Henriquez in second place with 369. Luke Studengase moved up onto the podium and is in third place with 359 points. They got this race ahead in front of them to go still. Double points next week, so we could see a big shakeup across all divisions, but really here in this Pro Division. And then we're going to jump over to the Challenger Division, where we're going to find Dan Ott, Dehano Toot himself, leading the way with a commanding lead over Mark Cohn in second place. That's a sizable lead. And then on Mark's rear bumper is Matt Thompson, just 5 points behind him, and then Ryan Campbell just 1 point there behind Matt Thompson. So a real big fight shaping up there in the Challenger Division. And then to the smaller but still exciting Amateur Division, we're gonna find, it's got to be Freddie Weaver leading the way there. I mean, the guy has done nothing but win this season. Freddie Weaver sitting on 408 points. Kevin Berg sitting back in second place with 311 points. Joe Sacchetti in third place right now with 282 points. Joe Sacchetti now driving for the Frito Sport team. So Edgar Roger Pinsky Sanchinelli has gathered yet another driver into his stable. So we got points battles going all across all 3 divisions. Keep your eyes on the leaderboard tonight during tonight's race. And we got a big shakeup coming next week with the Oval. Enough about the Oval, though. We got Barber in front of us. 40 minutes here where the cars are in qualifying now. So far, leading the way on the timing screen is Taylor Ballant. And he is not, nobody's set a time yet, but so far on the sector times, it looks like the Taylor Ballant is leading the way. But there's our first fastest lap that's been set by Dan Ott, and then immediately displaced by Luis Henriquez. We're going to go on board with Matt Thompson here as he's coming out of the final corner. It's a very tricky layout here at Barber. He's going to keep the car over to the right-hand side of the track in a very, very fast blind entry to turn number 1. You want to get that car rotated and back to the throttle and use as much of the track as you can, as he did right there, and keep that car pinned over to the right for a very, very tight and winding turn 2 as it goes down and then comes back uphill. Then a very tricky turn 3. You come across this crest blind, the car really wants to unsettle itself. It's easy to spin coming to go over that crest. He's going to move the car back to the right-hand side of the track for a triple apex left-hander that is going to be the one spot where people are going to lose the most time. You might see a lot of good passing opportunities going into that corner. As he makes his way down this little chute straightaway, he's going to move his car over to the left-hand side of the track for a very fast right, left, right double chicane, the waterfall section of the track, modeled after the roller coaster in Laguna Seca. Very tricky section of track, and he's going to bring the car back over to the right. We have another fast left-right combination here. It's a very wide chicane. Just a little bit of a lift there, a dab of the brake to get the front end of the work. Get the car back over to the right-hand side of the track, and then we have another left-right open chicane section where the elevation begins to change there at the beginning of the second turn. They come up over this blind crest. It's really easy to run wide, and then you're going to set up. This is one of the trickiest corners on the track, the penultimate corner. There's about 10 different ways to go through that corner, and that is one of them right there. And then the final corner there, you want to get a nice late apex, get back onto that throttle for that big launch down the main straightaway to finish your flying lap. And that's going to be good for Matt Thompson to get him up to, where is he going to end up at? It doesn't look like he improves, but he is going to be sitting pretty in 10th place and currently on the Challenger Division pole.
It was a good lap, and Matt Thompson has had quite a few good runs as of late, so keep an eye on him tonight here at Barber. top of the overall leaderboard, Luis Enriquez 136.2, and it is close because it is going to be a 136.248 to a 246 between the first two drivers. Kevin Parrish P2, Taylor Ballant 136.401, Luke Sudengay right behind 136.428. So, you were talking about the separation we often see before the broadcast. I mentioned it right at the start of the broadcast. But if the qualifying times are anything to go off of, we might be looking at some really good battles, Randall, because these times are even closer than they usually are. Between 1 and 2 to be 0.002 of a second is almost unheard of. We'll see if that changes. These guys have time to put some more laps down and see what they can do. But generally with Henriquez and Parrish, their first lap is going to be the hot lap. Everything after that's kind of practice, but we'll see. Everybody is continuing to post their time. Leading the amateur qualifying at the moment, looks like it is going to be Scott Brooks in the 299, 138.838, so not a bad time at all. And so far, point leader, drive away point leader, Freddie Weaver, 33rd, and he's going to be 5th among the amateurs as it stands with a 140.2, so maybe a little bit of a bobble on his first lap to see if he can recover, but it is going to be something. All these chicanes, this track is just so difficult to navigate. If you don't get a good qualifying effort, you're going to find yourself driving through traffic, driving through the field, doing everything you can to try to, get those points, but it's not easy.
We saw Enriquez there. He was able to improve his time and break through the 136 barrier, but then quickly was answered by both Kevin Parrish and Taylor Ballant. Kevin Parrish has made his way up onto the provisional pole with a 135.873, a whole tenth faster than the next two drivers. And most importantly, at this point in the season, he's going to be securing that bonus point for qualifying on pole in the division if he retains that spot. But he's also keeping it away from his main rival, Luis Enriquez. So it's kind of a double whammy there for Luis. Luis was really hoping to get on pole to get that bonus point. And now, not only is he not getting it, it's going to the guy that's got a lead over him, Kevin Parrish. So some of these bonus points could really start to be a sticking point here in the closing weeks of the season. We're watching the drivers finishing now their last laps. Most drivers are now have already finished 3 laps. I think we'll see Freddie Weaver and Jay Bass are the only ones still on actual flying laps. Everybody else is on a cool down lap. Andy Bell also, the Iceman cometh. He is out there on a flying lap. I don't think he will get all 3 of them in before the checkered flag flies, but he should be able to finish this one at the very least. Yeah, he will be just shy of having enough time to get that 3rd lap in, but this is his 2nd lap, and so long as he has kept it on track, it will be good for time. Right now, he is unclassified at the very rear of the field. He has not set a lap time. Hopefully he gets one set with this lap. We'll keep an eye on him here and see him cross the line, and I am not seeing a lap time come up for him, so he must have had another off track. So that's going to be the end of Andy Bell's qualifying run. He had some decent sector times going. I think he could have qualified up there in the mid-20s, maybe towards the top 20. But just not able to put together a full lap by keeping it on track. Right here we're watching Chuck Labano as he makes his way out of the final corner one last time and roars off down to that blind turn 1. It is going to be an absolute madhouse watching these drivers pile into turn 1 for the very first time.
It really will. And you saw Chuck Labano going through that corner, 4-tire slide. I mean, completely skidding through the corner, and that's the fast way to get around. It wasn't an accident. It's what you got to do. So these guys are going to be really pushing each other through that turn 1. Also, update to the amateur qualifying. If anybody lost 2 seconds, talk to Freddie. He found him. 138.3. He was a 140.3 last we checked. So picked up 2 seconds and now is quickest among the amateurs by about 1/10 of a second. So right now, P27 provisionally, only a few seconds left on the clock. What a qualifying session that was. Lots of ups and downs.
Absolutely, and you'll see that the times are very clumped together. That's probably what we'll see in the race. Once the initial scrum gets over with, those that survive will start to spread out. And now we're just waiting for the official results to come across so we can get you that starting grid. But we do know that it was Kevin Parrish that has got that pole position with a 135.873. Taylor Ballant is going to line up next to him in P2. Luis Enriquez is going to start in P3. That might actually be preferable to P2. Luke Sudengay going to line up in 4th position. Neil Kemp starting in 5th. He's got a new paint job, but it looks pretty good. The Pep Boys P6 is going to go to Super Dave Moore. Chuck Labano is going to roll off in P7. Next to him, Evan Hoopchak in P8. Andrew Bailing is going to start in P9. And then rounding out the top 10, Kevin Buckles.
Outside of the top 10, David Finch, P11. Mark Cohn, the Watchman, going to be P12. Look back to 13th, you will find Mr. Fabian Zweier in that number 2 machine. Ryan Campbell going to be in P14. His outside, Charlie Hosey, P15 in the number 100. Levi Powell in P16. 17 and 18 going to Jay Bast and Matt Thompson. Daniel Gabaldon is going to be 19th. Running out the top 20, DeHaan O'Toole, the man himself.
Aaron Bray going to line up in 21st. Next to him, a woeful qualifying for Matt Malone. Full-time Turkey's got a lot of ground to make up here this week at Barber. Starting in P23, Matthew Gazinda. 24th is Mike Neekum, rolling off in 25th place. Brandon Smith. Next to him, Edgar Sanchinelli, the man I've been calling the Roger Pinsky of the American Muscle Series. Freddie Weaver going to start in P27 and on the amateur division pole. Joe Sacchetti going to line up next to him in 28th. 29th place is going to see the likes of Brandon Carl. Next to him, rounding out the top 30, John Casey. And then the remainder of the field will be Scott Brooks, Dave Blair, Jeff Andrus, Tom Wendt, and the Iceman, Andy Bell. We got just about a minute until we see the green flag in the air and see these cars pile into turn 1. What's your strategy for the start of this race, Andre?
Well, if I'm Kevin Parrish, it is go as deep as I reasonably can. You got 34 hungry Mustangs right behind you, and they are going to be sending it into this corner. They want that track position quick and early, so they're going to try to take it. If you're everybody else, watch those mirrors. Try to drive it in deep, but not too deep. Don't get run over. Don't do any running over. Just avoid the other cars. Once you get sorted out, get out of turn 1, and now you can focus on racing.
40 long minutes on order for these Mustangs. They're just thankful that it's not raining like it was at Road Atlanta. This will be another one of those tracks where you would not want to see rain. Looks like Kevin Parrish has escaped to the pit. Some last moment drama. Maybe he forgot to put in race fuel. He does have 20 seconds left until the green flag goes, so hopefully he can get back onto the starting grid. There he is. Regains the pole position. Heart beating just a little bit harder in that number 69 car. We're waiting about 10 more seconds here. We'll see Barney get the green flag in the air. These cars will be underway. You hear the motor starting to come up already. We're just waiting a couple more seconds, any moment now, and
maybe
green flag is in the air finally. Wow, they really wanted to test us there as the cars get rolling. We see them get 3 wides and cars getting a not so great launch. A real jam up at the back end of the field as they make their way down to turn 1,
wide.
And it looks like Taylor Belan is going to have gotten that lead away from Kevin Parrish. And there's some carnage here in the back of the pack. As we see, it looks like Luke Sudengay is off the track there at the exit of turn 1 with some heavy damage on that Mustang. So some shenanigans up front leads to some shenanigans in the back, and they make their way over the crest for the first time, not seeing anybody get super loose. But Taylor Belant continues to lead the way over Kevin Parrish. Luis Enriquez looking to make a move on the outside there of Neil Kemp. He's going to get 3rd place. And what happened there at the start? We got to go back and find out. But Luke Sudengay out of this race very early, and look at this gaggle as they make their way down to the waterfall for the first time. They really need to sort this out, or it's going to be absolute bedlam once again. It looks like they're getting there. They're starting to shake themselves out. They are going too wide. We see some damage on some cars there. Mark Cohn's carrying a little bit of damage. I think we saw a bumper missing from another car back behind him. It was a little bit of a rough start, but now they're starting to get stretched out, trying to get in single file line. As we see Freddie Weaver there in a 2-wide battle. He's going to fall in behind Edgar Sanchinelli. They seem to have worked the pack out a little bit. Is that Freddie Weaver up ahead getting loose? There's a bit of tire smoke, but 2/3 of the way through a lap, and I am out of breath.
Yeah, when we cut back and they were in 4-wide formation, I thought we were looking at a replay of turn 1. I cannot believe they held that formation all the way to that point of the track, but they did finally single file out, it would seem. Taylor Blount taking the point over Kevin Parrish. Luis Enriquez, P3. Neil Kemp is 4th. And you got Chuck Labano, P5. David Moore in 6th. Andrew Bailing right behind. So it is just a single file snake of cars, pretty much from 1st to 7th. Throw 8th in there as well. He's pretty close. And they're all running very similar pace, just trying to calm down a little bit there. And Ryan Campbell leading the Challenger Division 9 took it away on qualifying. DeHaan O'Toole did not get a good start to this race. So We'll see where he can wind up, pushing the car a little bit. But Ryan Campbell has clear track behind. No real challenge for the Challenger division right now. And whoa, boy.
Aaron Bray in the background. Looked like he lost it coming over the crest of that hill. I called it out in the lap guide. It's very, very tricky. There's some heavy damage on the rear of that Mustang. It was definitely doing a tank slapper as he came across that crest. And he is going to be regretting that. We're going to jump back to the leaders. We got to find out what happened in turn 1. Yes, I hear we got Luke's. What happened with Luke Sudengay coming up here? And we see him. He gets not a great start there. He is completely out of gear and was not able to get things going. He pulls off into the grass to try to get out of the way, and it looks like he just gets tagged by Dave Finch there. So yeah, he was just a little bit off pace. It looks like a racing incident. 3 drivers coming in to one spot, and we just saw Mark Buckles coming down the leaderboard here. This is what happened to him. They're coming down to that triple apex left-hander. He and Mark Cohn possibly going to get together. Yes. Mark. Yeah, he's just the meat in the sandwich there, and that's not what you want to have happen at all. 3 cars trying to go for the same piece of pavement, and that's what happens. It seems to happen a lot in the early part of the race. Anytime you're here at Barber, you see it in all classes of cars around here, Andre. Not a big surprise to see it in these Mustangs.
So we got another incident with Luke Sudengay. This is with Andy Bell, a little bit further into the lap after his first incident. Down into this left-hander. Just gets a really good run through the corner, up to the bumper, and then, just like before, 2 cars going for the same real estate, kind of coming together. One was coming up, one was going down, Randall, and that is about the 4th time we've seen it tonight. So at some point, you got to give. The racing is give and take, and I'm seeing a whole lot of take, but one more replay for Kevin Buckles. It's been a very eventful night for that Liquid Death machine. Let's see what happened here. Coming up this hill onto the right-hander. A little bit of a switchback, and then just too much curb. A little bit too much of that curb. Goodness.
Yeah. Once the car gets that sideways and starts pointing towards the grass, that Mustang becomes Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. There's a steering wheel, and you can turn it all you want if it makes you feel better, but it's not doing anything. And he just drove straight to the scene of the accident. Back to live pictures here. Taylor Ballant under heavy pressure from Kevin Parrish. Luis Enriquez lurking back there in 3rd. Neil Kemp, not talked a lot about him this season, and showing some pace here tonight, up there in P4 and in a good position to have a shot at this win if he can keep it together for all 40 minutes. We're going to see how Taylor was managed to get around Kevin. It looks like he just beat him off the line. He had the outside run. He gave Kevin a bit of a taste of his own medicine by making an outside pass there, except he did it on the first lap of the race instead of the last lap of the race.
Yeah, that was quite the eventful series of corners. So much to catch up on, so little time. Back to live scenes. Looks like Super Dave Moore in a bit of a battle side-by-side with Evan Hubchak, who is currently running P7. They're going to stay side-by-side behind the Canadian Chuck Labano, who's having a really good run, qualified really well, racing really well at the moment, looking to pick up another position, actually. Really drives it in deep on bailing, but this battle here, Ryan Campbell, we are riding on board. He is chasing that number 13, trying to get around Super Dave Moore, but not quite able to get it there. And I'll tell you, it looks like it's really tough to pass. I think that's part of why we're seeing these drivers going for the same real estate, getting into each other. Not too many passing opportunities here at this facility, and you kind of got to take the opportunity when it presents itself, and maybe that makes these guys get a little bit overeager.
Absolutely. This track reminds me a lot of Alton Park in the regards when it comes to passing, that really fortune favors the bold. You got to really go for a move. You have to be pretty aggressive in order to get that move done, because if you're not aggressive enough, it's just not going to materialize. And I am seeing in the stewarding chat, we did have one incident being investigated, and Tom Wendt has been given a drive-through penalty for incident responsibility. So I'm not sure exactly which incident that was, but Tom is to blame, as I'm sure he is used to hearing in his household with 6 children. It's always Tom's fault. So we see Tom Wendt with a black flag, and he's going to have to serve that drive-through penalty here in the next few laps. We do see that there was an off track with Tom. So Tom Wendt and Luke Sudengay. That's what happened. It wasn't Mark Cohn. It was Tom Wendt. So the steward has deemed Tom responsible for that incident. So he's going to have to serve a drive-through penalty. we watched Luke's race go from bad to worse, immediately followed by Kevin's race going from bad to worse. Now rejoining live pictures, Evan Hoopchak trying to hold off Dave Moore, trying to track down Chuck Labano, and they got a whole gaggle of cars behind them, none of them slow. So one mistake here could lose you 4 or 5 positions very easily. Looking to see, we are currently serving lap 5. This could possibly be a 25 lap race. It could be a 24 lap race. We won't know for sure until the pit cycle has gone through and we've seen the leaders coming through the pit lane. Then we will know for pretty sure. We see Jay Bass running really wide there. That section of track, it feels as narrow as a hallway, even though it's super wide. It just feels like there's no room at all at that section of the track as you come across that crest. And now seeing Fabian Zweyer trying to get around Ryan Campbell. Ryan's falling off the back of Super Dave Moore here just a little bit. Just one bad corner, one missed mark can really put you on your back foot and have you defending really hard and trying to play catch up at the same time. And we're going to see if Fabian Zweyer maybe he's going to have a sniff here on the inside of Ryan Campbell. Not going to quite be there, but going to be lurking in those mirrors pretty big. We might be able to see a move coming into the hairpin coming up as they make their way over the crest. He's not really close enough to go for a move, but if you're really bold on the brakes here, you can go for a mega dive. As he gets into the grass on the brakes there, loses the rear end a little bit, has to catch the car, but still keeps it far enough back. But there's a big slide out of Campbell as he tries to get the power down. This could be the run Fabian needs. He's going to be pulling alongside, going to have the inside line as they approach the waterfall, going to be very much alongside in this braking section. And it looks like Campbell going to play it smart, backs out a little bit, and lives the fight another day. And he's going to try to rally here on the outside. He will have the preferred line if he's able to stay alongside, and it looks like he is going to have enough momentum to stay alongside. So this battle is going to continue on for another couple corners. And look who's punchy there behind both of these drivers. Jay Bass getting hungry, looking maybe to get 2 spots out of this one move. Is he going to get Ryan Campbell? They're going to possibly go 3 wide. Nope, they're going to back off, and big wiggle out of Ryan Campbell. Contact with Jay Bass is going to send Jay around and put Ryan off into the grass on the left-hand side of the track. Both of them off into the grass. So another one for the stewards to look at. But we saw that big wiggle happening, and it was almost inevitable when you're trying to go through that section of corners with that much traffic. One little mistake, and Jay Bass trying to be aggressive, trying to be opportunistic. Most of the time that works for you here. This time it did not. We're going to take one more look at that incident. Watch the big wiggle there out of Ryan Campbell. I don't know if there was some net code contact or whatever, but that sent him into a 4-wheel drift right into the side of Jay Bass, which sent both of them off the left-hand side of the track and into the grass. Doesn't look like either car had a lot of damage. Now seeing Edgar Santinelli is in the pit lane. Not sure if this is for routine service or not. I'm going to take one more look from the cockpit of Matt Malone. This happened right in front of Matt's face, and he just barely squeezes in behind Dave Finch, has to stab at the brake a little bit to keep off the rear bumper and get through there. Picks up 2 spots. Thank you very much. I will have another, he says. And I think that we've lost Andre. Once again, I think Spectrum has decided on a Tuesday night, no more for you, sir. So it may be just me here for a few minutes while we try to work out what's going on with Andre. It's just going to be me and you, folks, in the YouTube chat. So we see Taylor Blant continues to lead the way, half a second over Kevin Parrish, and he's about another half second ahead of Luis Enriquez, who's another half second ahead of Neil Kemp. So the top 4 here look to be pretty content to hold station and just try to click off some laps. We'll wonder if we'll see any of these 4 drivers maybe take an alternate pit strategy and try to upset this order. This is not really a slipstream heavy track, so this is definitely a track where an alternate pit strategy might play out for you. You see they're lurking back in 5th place. Andrew Bailey, another driver we haven't really talked about a whole lot this season in the Pro Division. Normally when we talk about him, we're talking about him and Jay Bass trying to trade paint. This time he's all on his own. No Jay Bass to keep him company. He's on a bit of an island right now, though. With a good pit stop, he could definitely find himself in contention for the race win here. Going to keep going through the field to see what we have going on through the rest of the drivers. Here's Luke Sudengate now on a recovery run after a poor start, 2 spins. He is all the way down in 24th position. Luke Sudengate is going to be very, very happy to leave Alabama. I have a feeling. He's trying to track down Brandon Carl, and he's got John Casey there in his rearview mirror. He looks like he's despite having the rear end damage and despite having, really put a lot of damage on those tires, has a lot of pace in the car still. And I'm seeing another incident being investigated and another drive-through penalty for car number 181. Not a big surprise. Ryan Campbell has been deemed responsible for that incident with him and Jay Bast, and will be serving a drive-through penalty. It looks like, is that Evan Hoopchak that we see off the track there, are very much off pace? So maybe a spin. I'm not seeing a lot of damage on that car, so it looks like maybe he just spun it. Seeing him in front of Labano here with Super Dave Moore there lurking, and it looks like, just too much of that curb and goes for a big slide and manages, just barely kisses that Armco barrier. A little bit of damage there on the right rear corner of that car, but gets it going back again, loses a bunch of time, has a little bit of damage. We're going to see what it looked like from Chuck's point of view there, and that was a big evasive move. They're out of Chuck Labano to keep off of Evan Hoopchak. So Hoopchak's now going to have a bit of a recovery run, trying to get his way back up to the top 10. Now trying to deal with Charlie Hosey, and I think I hear Andre. Andre, are you back?
Yeah, we are back. We're good. And this battle is also good. Charlie Hosey tried to get to the inside, but then, a little bit of a switchback. Next corner gives Evan Hoopchak the inside, and Evan's going to get a little bit loose. DeHaan O'Toote's got to flare up, try to not get into the back of him. That'll be one more position up for Dan. And this is the battle for Challenger right now. Charlie Hosey leading the way, DeHaan O'Toote right behind. Evan Hoopchak is in the pro class, but he's got Levi Powell, Matt Thompson. A lot of challengers very close together on track right now. And then Evan in the middle, who unfortunately, like you said, having an eventful night. He started out really well, qualified great, had good pace, and it's getting worse. Bad night gets worse, loose into the corner. I think at this point, Randall, his tires are screaming at him. He slid so much, he has just heated them up, put a cycle through him, and he is just struggling for grip. It's showing as he works his way through these corners. Look at that steering wheel, counter steering at every possible opportunity, rear end stepping out on him. It is just not a good situation.
I think that impact with the Armco was more than just a little kiss. I think he may have some damage to the right rear suspension of that car, and he's really having problems with these right-hand corners a whole lot. You see he's got another car on the inside. He's not able to get the power down very well at all, not able to brake. He's now coming into the pits, going to probably see how much repairs are needed on this Mustang, or maybe just to try to cool those tires off. But he's dropped all the way down to 19th position. You see him there even coming into the pit lane with a big wiggle as he tries to get on the brakes. I have a feeling that whenever he tries to brake hard in that car, it really wants to spin to the left, and he's really having to fight it.
Yeah, he is really not having a good time, so he's going to come down pit road, get that car serviced, see what he can do with it. I think that's damage that'll be fixable. Car might not be in tip-top shape, might not have the best result, but you can still salvage something out of the night, I'm sure. Going back to DeHaan O'Toote, it is Charlie Hosey, Levi Powell, DeHaan O'Toote, 3 cars under a blanket for the division lead, and it is quite the battle. This track has so many switchbacks. Anybody who thinks they've got the preferred lane, they go into the next corner, they do not. So it's really promoting some good side-by-side battles. Charlie Hosey continuing to show these guys the way around the track, but I don't know if that's going to last. These guys are just hounding him back there, trying to make their presence known. And you got Jay Bast as well, in P14 right behind him. So a lot of talent right here, putting on a good show. Nothing has changed up front. Don't worry, while we've been looking away. Taylor Ballant still leads. Kevin Parrish P2. Luis Henriquez 6 tenths of a second back. But here we go. On board with Jay Bast. What a run he just got. Closed in quite a few car lengths on that number 129. He is now to the rear wing. See if he can make anything of it into this kind of double right-hander. Switches into the downhill left-hander. He's getting really good corner entry speed. It just seems to be that exit that's biting him. So down the straightaway, they will get into slipstream mode all the way to the right-hand side of the track, preparing for that left-hander. Got somebody down pit road. It is Private Malone in that number 83, getting his car serviced. I would assume, Randall, that is going to be a scheduled stop. It is 16 minutes into this event, just shy of halfway. Maybe didn't like where he was on the track. Maybe didn't like the traffic. Said, hey, I'm going to pit now, see if I can't cycle out somewhere a little bit more clear and green.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to get some clean air as he's going to be stopped for 13.6 seconds. We have seen a few other drivers come in for service. Matthew Gazinda, Ed Sanchinelli, Mike Neekum. Evan Hoopchak ended up being stationary in his pit box for 54 seconds. So affecting some repairs on that battered Mustang and got it back underway. As Luke Sudengay is going to make a move here on Joe Sacchetti to try to claw back another spot. He's fought his way back into the top 20, not a position where you would expect to see Luke Sudengay in, but given what has happened to him in the first couple of laps of this race, a nice recovery run. As you mentioned, the top 5 have been pretty static, so we haven't watched much except for the mid-pack. Here we see the amateur division leader, Freddie Weaver, leading the way in the amateur division, and we're talking about Charlie Hosey leading the way in the challenger division. That's something we have not talked about very much this season, is Charlie Hosey leading his division, and it's something we expected to see quite a bit. So an almost forgettable season for Charlie Hosey. Normally, he is up there fighting for division wins every single week, so just not a great season for Charlie. I'm sure he'll be ready to come back kicking and screaming, clawing and fighting, and trying to get his way back up to the top of the challenger leaderboard, but just not a great season. As we see, Fabian Zweyer has jumped into the pit lane now, so we're starting to see some of the leaders trickle in. He pit out of, I think he was back to 13th or 14th spot whenever he finally pit, but he was one of the drivers up there early on in that lead pack. So he's now in the pit lane. He was only stopped for 12.9 seconds, so a decent stop out of him. Seeing a really big variety of strategies so far. No big groups have come in, just ones and twos here and there, but a nice variety of pit strategy. You could see some things really shake up on the leaderboard later in this race.
Yeah, I think the pit strategy is going to matter a lot because, like I was talking about earlier, passing on the track is not very easy to do here just because there is so many of those switchbacks where you're on the inside, then the outside, then the inside. If you can't get it done in one corner, they're probably just going to take it right back from you. So I think if you want to get in some positions, maybe getting them on pit road and just getting them that way is the way to go. So we'll have to wait and see. But what a battle this is. Taylor Ballant, Kevin Parrish, these drivers have yet to come down pit road, and they are pretty much nose to tail. And Luis Enriquez sitting in the catbird seat back there saying, hey, you guys do what you're going to do. You guys start battling. I would like that very much. Shout out to Neil Kemp as well. We've not really talked about Neil a whole lot, but he's not far behind these leaders. He's having the run of the season so far for that number 99. He is showing winning pace, qualified really well, seems to really enjoy this racetrack. Something about it is clicking for him, but Neil, he's a league regular. We usually see him running pretty well, but this is a little bit higher than we normally see him run. We don't usually see him run down Luis Enriquez and the rest that we expect to win week in and week out. So the Pep Boys have a little bit of pep under the hood.
Yeah, absolutely. Ever since he's got that car into Pep Boys, it has shown a lot more pace. He is fading off a little bit off Enriquez and falling back into the clutches of Andrew Bailing, so we could see a second group forming there. We see some cars on pit lane. It's going to be Brandon Carl, Ryan Campbell, and Matt Thompson all in the pit lane. Matt Thompson is already on his way out of the pit lane. He was stopped for 12.1 seconds, so very quick pit stop for Matt Thompson. They're one of the Challenger Division challengers for the championship. As we now watch Brandon Carl rolling off the pit lane, and behind him will be Ryan Campbell. Ryan Campbell will have served that drive-through penalty and then came in again for service. Now, this is a very tricky pit exit here, and they're going to both be rolling out into traffic. We'll see if Ryan Campbell is able to play it smart and keep to the outside here. Well, he's got a couple of drivers there on the inside. Looks like he's going to slot in behind Mike Neekum. Going to have Ed Sentinelli and Evan Hubchak both behind him to deal with. So he comes out in a little group. He's not going to have a lot of clean air. And this group is currently being led by, is that Tom Went? Possibly, yes. Tom Went up there in front of them. Matthew Gazinda also within range. But look at big check up there from Mike Neekum. And that's going to give Ryan Campbell the inside run. He's going to get a 2-for-1 special there. He's going to get both of those drivers, Mike Neekum and Tom Went, and it looks like Santinelli's going to try to get at least one of them. He's going to get his way around Tom, and not going to be able to quite get there with Mike, but he's going to have a good run possibly out of this corner to make their way through the waterfall. He's going to be on the outside there, not really as close as I thought he would be coming out of that corner, but he has a big run. He might be able to make some of them materialize here over these next couple corners.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and you really do got to build up a big run, and you got to get it done in a single lunge. This track is just not conducive to multi-corner overtakes, so you got to get that run, see what you can do with it. But so far, Ed Santinelli, P30, trying to reel him in, and he's kind of taking his time figuring it out. And they got plenty of time. 22 minutes into this race, we got 18 minutes remaining. This is one of those races that I feel like because of this track, because of how stressful this track is. I think this race feels a little bit longer than it really is. It is such a difficult track. The traffic, just the way that it drives, is quite something. But Joe Sacchetti, P17, saw him dip off the track there momentarily. There is Matt Malone after his pit stop, did not cycle out into the open track he was hoping. He's got David Finch ahead, and he's got Fabian Zweier behind, so we'll see exactly where they wind up. But David Finch doing a good job holding off Mr. Malone there, not letting him get by without a fight. He is just running his line, being a little bit defensive here and doing what he needs to do. Top 20 currently for that 35 machine. Be impressive if he can hold off Matt Malone. He is no slouch, and got to be a big confidence boost when you see Matt kind of throwing punches and they're not really landing. So that's got to be fun for him. But a little bit further up front, Charlie Hosey, P8, still leading the Challenger division. And meanwhile, Taylor Blount, Kevin Parrish, that has not changed either. 1 and 2 for those drivers. But on board with Hosey, he is maybe not having the easy time we made it sound like. He is being hounded by Jay Bass. He is right there to the bumper. Might have gave him a little bit of a love tap there, letting him know, remember me, I'm here. So through the corner. And it's going to be a 3-car battle, because look at that. Levi Powell in that number 120 or 103 car. He's there too, and to the bottom is going to go Jay Bass. The brake rotor's absolutely glowing on that 53. Going to pull him up nose to nose into the next corner. It is going to be advantage to, I think Hosey's got a nose on him now, into the right-hander. No, Hosey is going to fall back, and there goes Jay Bass taking the position, and they're going to slot back in line. But that is a freight train of cars, and this battle is far from over. Look at Levi Powell now making a move on Hosey. He's going to try to duck to the inside. I think the Hondo Toot saw that, said, you know what, I'm going to come with you. I'm going to duck down there as well. Not able to make anything of it, though. The slipstream not powerful enough. There's Mark Cohn. Got spun there on lap 1. Luckily didn't lose too much time, and he was able to recover pretty well. Now racing with the driver that he is battling for the points lead. But yeah, I'm hearing something about Freddie Weaver.
We're talking about Freddie Weaver being up 12 spots from where he started, but our biggest gainer so far is Jeff Anderson, 17th place, up 16 spots. But we got the top 5 for the Challenger division here, effectively under a blanket. They spread out a little bit over the course of this lap as one of them dips into the pit lane. That would be Dan Ott going into the pit lane. Once Jay Bass was able to make his way through that group of cars, that became a 5-way fight for the Challenger division win, and now they're entering in their pit strategy. We see some drivers coming off pit lane: Jeff Andrews, Dan Ott, Dave Moore. There was one more in there that I missed. Couldn't see who that was, but we see so far it looks like Neil Kemp might be the fastest pit stop with an 11.2. So earmark him possibly for the Thompson Trophy for fuel management. Neil Kemp with a very quick pit stop, and he needed one. He needed a quick stop to close that gap up back to that top 3. So that could be a move that puts him back into a prime position to challenge for the win of this race. He's got some clean air too, so he's going to be able to have a good outlap. So keep your eyes here on Neil Kemp. If he's able to put in a couple quick laps here, he could be back up there fighting with the top 3.
Yeah, and what a race that would be, fighting for a podium in that 99. It has been a standout night, and I don't want to give him the commentators curse. I almost want to stop talking about it because I don't want to ruin it for him. But I will just say it's been real good, and this pit sequence has really shaken things up quite a bit. Still a few drivers left yet to pit. And
sorry to step on you, Andre, but we've had an overtake for the lead. Kevin Parrish is now in the lead of this race. He also has the fastest lap. He's had that for a little bit, but he has taken that lead over from Taylor Blount, and I suspect we'll see him dip into the pit lane possibly this time by. I hear we're dialing up the replay to see exactly how that pass took place, but here we're going to see there is Kevin Parrish along the inside of Taylor Blount. Taylor must have gotten a bad run out of the last corner and gave Kevin Parrish the opportunity to get that move done in turn 1, gets it done clean on the inside for a change. Kevin Parrish doing it the traditional way. I think he's just going to save it for the last lap. And he's managed to open up a little bit of a gap here, about half a second ahead of Taylor Blount now. Luis Enriquez still lurking there. He hasn't looked very aggressive. He might just be doing some fuel saving and trying to jump some spots on the pit stop. We'll see if Kevin Parrish, now that he has the lead, decides to pit this lap. And if he does, who follows him?
I think everybody's got different ideas about when they want to pit and what their strategy is going to be. I do know that Luis Henriquez is really good on pit road. Oh boy. Speaking of Henriquez, he's also a really good landscaper, just doing some lawn work there off the track with that Mustang. Maybe not the best landscaper, though. That was a big rut. I think they fine you for that. But either way, he's really good on pit road. He generally gains a lot of time on pit road entry, exit. And as long as the RNG gods are kind to him and he gets a good stop, he's generally one of the best in and out. So we'll see if he can maybe pick up a position or two. He's been patient on the track. Andrew Bailing, P4, big gap to those lead trio. Take a look at a replay here. This is going to be Bailing in the 24. A little bit of curb, big off track, 4 tires in the grass. I think he's a better landscaper than Henriquez there, getting 4 tires off, cutting some more grass. But able to recover, didn't lose a whole lot of time.
It's actually impressive that he got all 4 wheels off there and didn't spin the car. That's one of those spots where the outside wheels are really loaded up, and he managed to keep it going straight as we see the full-time turkey making his way around Joseph Chetty and Fabian Zweyer. Actually, Zweyer was already behind him, so making his way around Fabian Zweyer in a very tricky section of the track. And now I'm hearing we got some action there for the Challenger lead. Hosey is in the pit lane, so Hosey pits out of the Challenger lead, comes back out onto the track after an 11.7 second stop. So a good quick pit stop out of Charlie Hosey. We'll see if he's able to get back into that Challenger lead. It's going to leave a few of the others, Levi Powell, Mark Cohn, and Daniel Gabaldon out there on track for that group. Again, keep your eyes on Neil Kemp, and I also want to give a huge shout out to Jay Bass. Jay Bass is currently sitting in 6th. Some of those positions are because of the pit stops, but only maybe 1 or 2 of them. He's still up 11 spots from where he started, despite that spin. And here come the leaders. Kevin Parrish and Taylor Blant both going to come into pit lane. And Kevin Parrish using every single inch of that pit entry, both ways. Gets so close to the wall, first on the left, then on the right. Luis Henriquez sticks it out, so he's definitely been doing some fuel saving. As you see the top 2 come into the pit lane. Who's going to come out in the lead here? Chuck Labano behind them, also coming into pit lane. So pit lane becoming very busy. The leaders are all starting to come in. Jay Bass now also in pit lane. I suspect we'll see Levi Powell, Mark Cohn, and Daniel Gabaldon as well here very soon. Looks like Kevin Parrish is going to take some tires.
Oh my!
Bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it plays out for him.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to play out for him. There goes Taylor Blount. It's a 4-tire stop. Oh, my goodness. He is going to absolutely hemorrhage positions with this, Randall. This is I don't know if that was intentional or not. Maybe he thinks the tire wear was significant enough to warrant it. Maybe he just forgot to uncheck the boxes. Maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know, but what a situation.
Well, we don't normally see mental errors like that out of the likes of Kevin Parrish, so you have to assume that it was planned. And he is going to be he did come out in 6th place, and he's going to be quite a distance behind Taylor Blount. But if the tires make that much of a difference, he can quickly close that gap up. And this is a track where tires would make a difference. It is a pretty intense track on tires. You got a lot of high and medium speed corners around here, so it does really chew up the tires, even in a short sprint race like this. So we'll see if he's able to close that gap up or not. But here's Charlie Hosey now trying to get back to the Challenger lead. And Daniel Gabaldon and Mark Cohn have both pit and are out in front of him. So he's not been able to get back to that lead quite yet. He's going to have to get some passing done. The pit strategy did not work out for him. Neil Kemp currently on track. We're seeing him he's showing in 5th place now, but he did pit from 4th place. We still have a couple more cars ahead of him coming into pit lane, and there they are. Luis Henriquez and Andrew Bailing both coming into pit lane. There goes Levi Powell, the last of the Challenger leaders to come into pit lane. So I think we're going to see everybody else. I think the only one left to pit now is Dave Blair. We'll see him come into the pit lane as well. There goes Luis Henriquez. Is he going to have the lead now after this? Because here comes Taylor Blount, and it looks like, yes, Luis Henriquez is comfortably going to be in the lead here. Taylor Blount going to have a lot more momentum, but that's a 1.5 second gap from Blount up to Henriquez. That's huge. Henriquez was able to save so much fuel there, just biding his time in 3rd place, and now he's got clean running ahead of him, and he has Kevin Parrish that took 4 tires all the way back in 5th place. This could be a huge gain for Luis Henriquez in the points if he's able to bring it home. Charlie Hosey here sitting currently in P number 18. He's got 2 of the Challengers in front of him. He's got all 4 of the Challengers that he was racing before in front of him, so he went from 1st to last in that group.
Yeah, he dropped a few positions. I don't think the long run pace is really there. I don't know if he cooked his tires or what's going on. Maybe he just taking a little bit of a breather here to try to recover and regroup. But either way, Levi Powell leading this Challenger division in number 103. Bit of a new paint scheme for Levi. One of those drivers who often does have a new paint scheme week to week. And this one looking pretty good. Nice green and white, very visible, which is good for us commentators and also probably for the other drivers as well. But right now, all they're seeing in terms of visibility is him driving away with it. But yeah, Luis Enriquez with that 1.2 seconds. I called it one of the best on pit road. He knows how to save fuel, knows how to get in, knows how to get out. And right now, with a 1.1 second lead, only 8.5 minutes remaining, 7.5 minutes, he is looking to be one of the favorites.
Yeah, they're going to come across the line to start lap number 21 of what looks to be definitely going to be a 25-lap race. So they're going to have 5 to go this time by. So he's just got to put 5 more laps.
Too, with a black flag.
Yes, we're seeing a black flag for Dan Ott, and I'm looking here in the stewarding chat, and it looks like an incident between him and Charlie Jose was being investigated, and it's been deemed at fault Dan Ott. So maybe that's why, and not the pit strategy, not the long run pace. That's why Charlie Jose is back where he's at. And it looks like Luis Enriquez is now suddenly struggling for grip. He's been running wide the last couple corners. Taylor Blant has really closed that gap up. It's down to 0.8 of a second now and closing down to 0.7. So possibly struggles here for Luis as he's tried to pick up the pace after the pit stop and not been able to find the grip like he was expecting to get as he runs wide there out of the exit of the waterfall. So he's going to have to get it together here real quick because Taylor Blant is coming very fast. Andrew Bailing is up to 3rd. Neil Kemp up to 4th. We don't see Kevin Parrish. He's back there in 5th place. He's quite a ways back. He gave up a whole 9 seconds by taking 4 tires. And he's going to have to get the pace really, really quickly. He was fast. He was fast-ish last lap, but it's still in the pit cycle. It's kind of hard to judge. This lap hasn't looked incredibly fast yet, so he's still struggling with getting those tires up to temperature. It doesn't look like that gamble has paid off for him quite yet, as he's back in 5th place. 5th place is still going to be a decent finish, but in a tight points battle, those 4 spots to Luis Enriquez could be a huge, huge payoff in the end.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of drama here at the end of this race with Dan Ott, the current points leader in the Challenger division, getting that black flag. That is a ton of positions he just lost. And then, of course, Kevin Parrish taking those tires. Again, I'm still not fully convinced that was on purpose. I think that may have been we forgot to uncheck the boxes, or maybe iRacing rechecked the boxes. That does happen occasionally, but either way, not really playing out to his favor. He is gaining a few tenths here, a few tenths there, but with only about 5 minutes left in this race, he's going to need more than that. He's going to need over a second a lap, and I just don't think he's quite got that. The battle is going to be between Luis Enriquez and Taylor Blant, who, like you said, Taylor is reeling in Enriquez. Passing him is going to be tough. Enriquez is one cool guy. He never panics. He's just got a cool head on his shoulders. He is just made out of ice. Does not panic, does not worry. You can throw the overtakes at him. He just runs his line, does what he needs to do, and generally stays out front. So it'll be tough, but it'll be a good battle. And I got to wonder if maybe he backed off that pace just a little bit, Randall, to save that extra fuel just in case he thinks he didn't put enough in. They are both, the pavement there, it's necessary. It's quicker to go through the grass. They both did. And I think that right there, Randall, that is racer's tunnel vision. Luis went through the grass, and Taylor Blant, he was just following Luis. He didn't see anything else. Just that black and pink car, and he followed him right through.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it looked like. And that gap has gotten a little bit smaller, but it's largely stabilized. He's not hemorrhaging tenths nearly as quickly as he was on the previous lap. So it looks like it's stabilized a little bit for Luis, but Taylor does have a lot of pace and has gotten up to Luis. He's definitely there, lurking large in Luis's rear view mirror. If I'm Luis, I'm reaching up there and snapping that mirror off the windshield. I don't even want to know what's going on behind me. I just want to concentrate on hitting my marks and bringing this victory home. They're now on lap 23 of 25, 2 laps to go in this race, and Luis is going to be feeling the pressure very soon as we jump back to Ryan Campbell and Brandon Smith duking it out here as they come across the crest of the hill, approaching the end of another lap for them. And this is a big fight in the Challenger division, though Levi Powell and Matt Thompson are the ones really dealing it out for the win in that division, but there's not much of a fight going on there between those two. These two are right close together, and they look like they have very different ideas coming through that last sector of the track. We've seen a lot of dirt kicked up here in front of them, so somebody ran a bit wide. As we jump back to the overall lead of the race here, Luis Enriquez, Taylor Ballant going to be coming to get 2 laps to go this time by. They are about 2/3 of the way through this lap. They'll be getting 2 to go this time across the line, and Ballant is there. He's got 2 laps to work this out.
Yeah, for a minute there, I thought that might have been contact. We've seen Enriquez take a bit of a different line. He dove down towards the apex right across the nose of Ballant, but he was clear, luckily, so no issues there. But you're right, he is within striking distance. It's just a battle of who's going to make the fewest mistakes as they come down across the line. It is going to be 37 minutes, almost 38 minutes down, 40 minutes total. So it is just, it's coming down to the wire here between Ballant and Enriquez. And poor Kevin Parrish, he's reeling him in, but it just was not enough. 5.7 seconds, the difference to the next car up the road, and about 9 seconds, give or take, to the leader. It's just not going to be quite enough. Chuck Labano, P6, he's been having a really good run. Top 10 all night. David Finch worked his way up to P7. Fabian Zweier, Matt Malone, David Moore rounding out the top 10. But, we predicted this separation. We are indeed getting it. But a battle here. David Finch is actually right up on the bumper of Chuck Labano and maybe trying to get himself a top 6 finish if he can get it done. But I don't know. This track is just so tough. Every time you see somebody swing out of line to try to make an overtake, the Mustang just gets all out of sorts and gets a little bit cattywampus. We'll have to see up on the curb now through the waterfall section. Looks like David Finch keeping a bit of a tighter line. I don't think it's going to really help him gain. In fact, I think that wider line was helping Mr. Labano get a run out of the corner. But on pit road, Charlie Hosey again. I don't think this was to serve any sort of penalty or black flag. That may have been some sort of damage or some sort of unexpected event brought him down pit road. So not a good night for that machine. Scott Brooks, P27. He's pretty much in no man's land. Got another car behind him, Ed Santinelli, by about 1.5, 2 seconds to really worry about in the closing minute of this event. But we do have a replay. Something might have happened.
I'm here. Maybe it had something with Charlie Hosey, but not seeing it here. He towed just after this, I'm hearing, but not seeing anything out of them. But right now, the white flag has been displayed to the top 8, top 10 drivers have all crossed the line and have taken the white flag. Luis Enriquez leading over Taylor Ballant. Right now, Luis up 2 spots from where he started. He's going to run wide there on the triple apex, and it's going to open the door for Taylor Ballant, who's going to say, thank you so much, I will take it. And now it's going to be a drag race to the waterfall. Enriquez going to be on the inside. I think he was just trying to make it exciting for us. He's going to have the inside run coming to the waterfall. Ballant going to break just a little bit earlier, try to set up the run out of the corner, as now Enriquez is going to anchor it down there at the apex and keep it nice and tight and keep that position away from Taylor Ballant. Ballant, you can see the dollar signs from the broadcast booth in his eyeballs as that door opened up wide, but Luis Enriquez gets a good run there out of that left-right combination. One more left-right combination to go before that final sector of the track, and Luis is going to run nice and wide as you look at Taylor Ballant really sending it down into that corner, using every bit of those curbs. And now just 3 more corners to go, 2 more corners to go for Luis Enriquez. Does he have the pace, and does he have the fuel? He was stopped for 1 second shorter as he takes a big bunch of that curve. There's a big wiggle out of the car. He's going to make his way through the final corner with Taylor Ballant right on his rear bumper. Ballant's going to pull alongside, and he's going to have the pace, but I don't think he's going to have the time as they get up to the start-finish line, and it will be Luis Enriquez that wins over Taylor Ballant. Andrew Baling comes home 3rd, Neil Kemp in 4th. Kevin Parrish relegated all the way back to 5th place. He was the fastest car on track those last few laps, but it was not enough for him to close that gap up. So either a lapse in judgment or a lapse in attention to detail causes Kevin Parrish to finish in 5th instead of challenging for the win of this race. Levi Powell coming out of the final corner now. He's going to take the challenger win. In 12th place overall, Luke Sudengay manages to rally back to 13th. What a drive out of Luke Sudengay after a really disastrous opening couple of laps. Going to come home in a good, solid 13th place. And now we're looking back for, surprise, surprise, Brandon Carl is in the lead of the amateur division, back in 22nd position. And he's got Freddie Weaver right there on his rear bumper. So the anime car is trying to drive off into the sunset in front of the Flintstones mobile. And it looks like he's going to have the run. It's going to be Brandon Carl coming across the line in first in the amateur division to seal his first win of the season here in the final road race. Brandon Carl over Freddie Weaver. What a big shakeup there in the amateur division. Let's see if we can get a replay of that pass. We're going to see, this is Brandon Smith, and Weaver may have had a slowdown, or maybe was struggling with gas, but he was definitely off the pace. And then that was given the spot to Brandon Carl, and he drove off from there. And I'm not sure exactly what happened because Freddie Weaver had enough power to get across the line. So he must have ran wide or had a slowdown.
Yeah, if I was a betting man, I'm going to say slow down, which is what an unfortunate situation when the iRacing crew chief is saying, hey, you got to slow down, and you see second place right in your mirror, and you just got to let him drive by. That is absolutely painful, but Freddie had a great run nonetheless, and even better run for Brandon Carl, getting a division win here at the last road course of the season. What a race that was. I bet he didn't even expect that coming through these last few corners. So that was
I can hear him screaming from here. I know that is the most excited man in the American Muscle Series right now. It's going to be Brandon Carl, and I cannot wait for that interview. Just waiting for the official results to come in so that we can get through them and get to the interviews. Just here they come any moment now. Right meow. Right meow. There we go. Luis Henriquez comes off with the win. Less than a tenth of a second ahead of Taylor Bland. That's less than one car length, ladies and gentlemen. Andrew Bailing holds on to get third place. Neil Kemp holds on to get fourth place. Kevin Parrish relegated down to fifth after a bad pit stop strategy, taking 4 tires. It didn't work out for him, though he did have the pace at the end of the race. Chuck Labano with a very, very quiet 6th place finish. He did have to avoid one big incident, but after avoiding that, he managed to drive it home into 6th. David Finch in 7th place. Fabian Zweyer finishes in 8th. Matt Malone, the full-time turkey, is the big gainer of the race, up 13 spots from where he had his abysmal qualifying to come home in P9. Dave Moore rounds out the top 10. Jay Bass has a valiant drive to get back up into P11 after having that incident with Ryan Campbell there in the second sector of the track about halfway through the race. Levi Powell comes home with the Challenger Division win in P12. Luke Sudengate in 13th. He had that's another valiant drive. He had a disastrous opening to this race and manages to drive it up to 13th place. Matt Thompson comes home in 14th. Mark Cohn in 15th. Daniel Gabaldon in 16th. Dahan O'Toole in 17th place. Ryan Campbell in 18th place. 19th goes to Jeff Andrews. Brandon Smith going to come home and round out the top 20. Matthew Gazinda in 21st. Your amateur division winner, Brandon Carl, comes home in 22nd place, just ahead of P23, Freddie Weaver. John Casey has a very quiet, solid, good race for John Casey in 24th. Joe Cicchetti, also, we didn't talk about him a whole lot, has a very quiet, very clean, nice run for him. Finishes in 25th. Scott Brooks in 26th. Mike Neekum finishes in 27th. Evan Hoopchak, who we saw make some really heavy contact with the right rear of the car into the Armco, going to come home in 28th. 29th, Dave Blair. Ed Sancinelli going to round out the top 30 and round out the lead lap. Tom Wendt going to be the first car 1 lap down in 31st. Aaron That Face Bray 2 laps down in 32nd. Charlie Hosey ends up retiring the car a few laps early, comes home 33rd, 3 laps down. Andy Bell, who we saw go out very early, is going to finish 7 laps down in 34th. Kevin Buckholz, who also had a disastrous opening parts of this race and then just ended up saying, nope, no thank you, see you later, gonna get the first plane out of here, is gonna finish in last place, a lot of laps down. But what a race we had there. We got some interviews coming up for you here. I'm gonna grab right now our Pro Division winner, overall winner, Luis Henriquez. It was a fight there with Taylor Blant there at the end. It looked like he missed the entry there on the hairpin, and he gave him a chance, but you were able to fight back. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, well, I figured at that point that if I'm gonna screw it up, I might as well commit to the inside for the next corner anyway. So that was it. But you know what, Finney? I won just to spite you off, because you put me in Navarra, which sucks for me. That's my worst track. I managed to get a 10th out of there. You rained out Road Atlanta as well, which is my favorite track on the schedule, by the way. I managed to get a 4th out of there, so I won this one just to spite you off.
Nice. Well, congratulations. It worked. You did it. You come home first. About time. First of all, about time we see you up here in the winner's circle. You've been up there every week, but it's been challenging for you to get up here in the first place. You bring it home here. Did you know that Kevin took 4 tires?
I only found out through his voice chat, which surprised me because I was expecting it to be a 3-way battle there for the win, but I don't know. I guess luck finally went my way in one of these races, but it still doesn't mean that that it's a given. Like I'm pretty sure we're gonna be in a dead heat for Charlotte, and I'm pretty sure that he's going to make life a living hell to try and grab that championship once and for all.
Well, you got a good measure of points back here tonight with him finishing down in 5th place. You got a win out of it. You had to fight off Taylor Blant to get there. But before we let you go celebrate, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
I'm gonna take the opportunity to shout out to you. I know it's a really cliche at this point, but I've been here for 9 seasons already, and every season I'm thinking like, okay, I'm way too committed to a bunch of things outside of iRacing to commit to Elite. But man, like it's just for moments like this, races like this, where it just gets me excited and it just wants me to keep on racing. Like this is basically what I signed up in iRacing for, and this season has delivered for 9 seasons now, and I'm pretty sure it's going to deliver for more, but I'm more than glad to celebrate what we had here in those past 9 seasons.
Well, I thank you, and it has been great having you around, man. You're always there at the top. You're always challenging for the wins. They may not always go your way, but there's nobody I'd rather race against than you, Luis. You're always a class act out on the track. You're a hard racer, but you're always super clean. And yeah, it's been a pleasure racing with you and watching you race.
Yeah, and just to finish it off, I actually want to give a shout out also to all of these guys that I've been racing with. This is the quickest that I'm pretty sure that I've driven so far in this season, and they just keep pushing you on, man. Like it's just like I'm pretty much trying to do quality pace, and they're just responding back with faster laps. So I'm just trying to hold on for dear life here every race.
Well, congratulations on getting this win. You got one more shot at it next week at the Oval. Are you looking forward to the Oval race at all?
Oh, I'm calling it right now. I'm going to that race with the plan to win. That Oval, I haven't raced a lot of Oval lately, but I have a lot of knowledge behind Oval, and I'm pretty sure that I have a pretty good feel for what we need, and I'm pretty sure that everyone else is going to bring whatever they have to bring to beat me, but I'm feeling very confident for Charlotte, even though it might be a silly race, but I'm still taking it very seriously.
It is not a silly race. It's double points, man. It can't be a silly race. It's going to be the most important race of the season. And you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Luis Enriquez, he's coming with a plan to win. So keep your eyes on that car. Next week, that black and pink Mustang, the number 6, is going to be looking to get that championship away from Kevin Parrish. Well, congratulations once again, Luis. We'll let you go celebrate. Have a good night, man.
Hey, thanks. And also broadcasting all season, guys.
Thank you so much. I will take a moment to remind you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way you know every single time Slow Motion Broadcasting goes live with another racing event for you. All sorts of action here throughout the week. And Andre, are you back yet, buddy?
Yes, I am here, and we are good to go.
Yeah. We have Levi Powell for you to interview here, the Challenger Division winner, Levi Powell.
Hello.
Mr. Powell, you got a copy?
I sure do.
Well, Levi, that was, I would say, for every division, the Challenger had the most interesting race. The points picture got shaken up big time. Dan Ott came in with the points lead, had a unfortunate race, lost quite a few positions, points picture getting shaken up. And you, on the other hand, had the opposite experience. You had a really good race, started a little bit further back, but picked up a ton of positions. And it just seemed like, as we look at your replay here, just barely escaping that lap 1 incident there, you kept your nose clean the whole time, which is more than a lot of guys out there could say. Tell me a little bit about your race and what your perspective was on this track.
Well, I was just trying to keep it clean, like you said, keep my nose clean. Lap 1, yeah, that was a mess. The last time we were here, I killed a couple guys on turn 1 at the start, so that's all I was trying not to do. But yeah, I avoided that first one, and then another one came around at the hairpin. I was like, oh man. I was gaining positions, losing positions, and then we finally all chilled out about lap 2 or lap 3, and ultimately I was going to play a pit strategy at some point, just depended on how close I was to everybody or how far back I was, and it ended up working out. I just was sitting behind Charlie and Dan for a while, saving fuel, and saved just enough.
Yeah, from the booth, we were talking about it a little bit. It just seemed like it was really tough to pass out there, and kind of maybe the pit strategy was going to be the best option for making overtakes. Something I talked about quite a bit. How difficult was it to really race out there? What was the passing situation like with this layout?
This track is a really big overtakes are based on mistakes. Like, all of us at the front of the Challenger division, we all had close enough pace that I knew I wasn't just gonna blow by somebody, so I was trying to take advantage of breaking into the hairpin if I noticed somebody was slow, and a lot of times some of those guys got a little heavy-footed coming out of turns and got a little loose, and I took advantage of that. That's pretty much all I could do. Just we were all so
I don't think you were alone in that.
What's that?
I said, I don't think you were alone in that. A lot of people were just kind of riding in the catbird seat waiting.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I was just working on my patience, just waiting it out.
And finally, last question I got to ask you. Final road course of the season in the books. Next week, we are headed to an oval. For the first time in league history, we'll be going to the Charlotte Oval for a double points event. How do you feel about that?
It's exciting, but a little scary. I don't know how many of these guys race ovals too, but I know when you get a bunch of road racers on an oval, it can be a little messy. So hopefully it's not a pace race. Hopefully it's not full of pace laps. That's all I can hope for, but I'm excited for it. And the double points.
It's definitely, oh yeah. Yeah, the points are going to be a big incentive for sure. And it's going to be exciting. Like you said, though, a huge unknown. We don't know how many of these guys do oval racing in their free time. We don't really know how this car is going to handle at Charlotte. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't usually wake up in the morning and say, "Hey, I'm going to take the old Mustang around Charlotte and see how that feels." So it's going to be quite the experience. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, it'll be as much fun for you guys as it will be for us in the booth to watch. But either way, congratulations on your division win. Any shout-outs you'd like to make?
I'd like to shout out our good friend Tom Wendt, TW3 Liveries. He threw together this Randall-inspired tribute to him since it's his going away. I thought it'd be something cool to do.
I'm blushing.
Thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. It's always great. I always watch it the next day. And Randall, for everything you've done for this league and keeping it going for this long. Good luck on your future ventures and whatever you're doing. And yeah, it's been fun. It's been great.
Alrighty. Well, Levi, thank you for your time. Congratulations on your win. And hopefully we're talking to you next week.
Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, hopefully.
That was Levi Powell, your Challenger Division winner, and the guy that's making Randall blush the most tonight. And cue the Jimi Hendrix, because I hear my train a-coming. It's the man in the waifu Mustang, the railroad man himself, old locomotive breath. Brandon Carl, you come home with a victory in the amateur division in the final road race of the season. Tell us about your race, bud.
Just like the win at Bathurst, all of a sudden I was on the lead. I was across the finish line on the last lap. The only lap I led. It was, it's a little bittersweet there because I got into a Joshuah caddy, and he ended up spinning there. So I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I don't know if this one's gonna count after that because it looks sus on my replay, but there was nobody jumped on the race control to look at it. But I'm gonna celebrate for now because yeah, holy cow, I can't talk right now. I'm about to freaking cry. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I got a question for you. Again.
I got a question for you. Are you gonna be making dinosaur noises tonight in celebration?
Unfortunately, I got to go to work tomorrow.
Oh,
and I got to do some chores. I do got a fireball shot in my hand right now. I'll do one right now.
Oh, there you go. Well, as surprising as it may be to you, you did come home with a win. It's your first win of the season. Before we let you go celebrate, Who do you want to thank and who do you want to shout out?
Oh, absolutely. I do want to shout out to Simpit, Free Sport, D-Nut Stuff, J Bass at J Bass Blast. He's running a promotion now on with Itty Bit Better. They're doing a little paint scheme contest over in his Discord. I also like to thank out Logically Gaming. Wink, wink.
That's a shot. That's a throwback.
Yes, it is. Wonder what old Devin Booth's up to these days.
Well, congratulations on your first win of the season, and we got the Oval to look forward to next week. I know you're ready for that one.
Oh, absolutely.
Congratulations once again. Go celebrate, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again one more time next week.
Absolutely. One more shout out. I'm not streaming tonight, but BCX Carl, www.twitch.tv/BCX Carl. That's www.twitch.tv/BCX Carl. I still stream there every once in a while.
All right, well, you heard it here. Go check out BCX Carl on Twitch. Give Brandon a follow. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And congratulations once again.
Oh, yeah. We need to go to VIR again.
Yes, we do. That was Brandon Carl, your amateur division winner, and it was a wild and wacky one tonight, Andre. Any closing thoughts here for you?
Well, the only closing thoughts I have are of Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's all I've been thinking about. It is going to be such a fun race next week, and I'm really looking forward to that. But this race was, I was hoping kind of for this exact situation. I was hoping the points picture would get shaken up a little bit so that it put a little bit more gravity into next week's race, and they got to take it a little bit more seriously. And as far as Challenger is concerned, it's up in the air, right? It's anybody's for the taking, and that is going to be really fun to watch. And even the Pro Division is still going to be really close in points. Things could change. Nothing is decided going into the final race of the season. So it is going to come down to the wire for the season, just like most of our races come down to the start-finish line, coming down to the wire at the end of the 40 minutes. This league never fails to entertain in the most surprising and sometimes unsurprising ways. And I've had a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be even more fun next week.
Absolutely. Next week, the thing that if you're watching next week, which I encourage you, if you're gonna see a race, watch next week's race. It's gonna be amazing. The divisions are still gonna be there. The point of all season long, but the divisions are almost meaningless. It would not be a surprise to see an amateur or a challenger up there in the overall lead of the race during the oval. Like it's the world's gonna be turned on its head. The divisions are really just gonna be colors at that point. It's going to be impossible to predict. So be tuned in here next week, next Tuesday, for the Mustangs on the Charlotte Oval. I think we have some more broadcasts coming up between then and now. We have tomorrow night at 9:45 p.m. we have the SRG F3 at Red Bull Ring GP. And then Saturday we have the Weekend Warriors kicking it off with the Formula V's at Oschersleben GP in the rain. They know it's going to rain, so it's going to be a wet one for the V's. And then Sunday begins at an exciting day of racing with the Weekend Warriors and the Formula Fords starting off at Road Atlanta Short, and then the Spec Racer Fords at Watkins Glen International. They're doing the boot layout like we did last week, and then be back here next Tuesday. It's the one we've been dreading or waiting for all season, the Charlotte Oval race. And then later that night, the SRG F4 is going to be at the Mexico F1 GP circuit. And then next Wednesday, the Ferrari Road and Oval Challenge is going to be taken to an oval. They're going to be at Michigan. So you're going to see Ferraris on an oval, a fast one at that, Michigan. That's going to be wild. And then also on next Wednesday at 9:45, SRG F3 is going to be at Hungaroring. So a bunch of racing action coming up for you over the next week. Keep tuned in. Like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. You don't want to miss a single broadcast around here. And we've had a wild one. The road part of the season is over. One race to go. It's worth double points. It's an oval. It's all kinds of new things here for the American Muscle Series. But that's going to put a button on it for us here at Barber. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. My name is Randall McGrew. I've been joined in the commentary booth by Andre Dirt Grandbouche. And we've had Joshua Wilkie in the virtual production hauler on the buttons next week for the oval. The tickets for the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.